One of those guilty pleasures I have is mac and cheese. Why is it a guilty pleasure? My family really wasn't big in cheese, so I didn't have it growing up. But now that I'm a big boy, I can make my own mac and cheese. So I'm gonna show you a really nice recipe right before New Year's Eve to get those calories in before you decide to, go healthy. So I'm gonna start off by making a roux. Why am I making a roux? Because I want that stability in my sauce. Some people don't make it and it looks like an oil slick because they're just using sour cream and some cheese and some milk. You know what I'm talking about when I say oil slick. This makes it more homogeneous, looks like a sauce, really white, really saucy. That's what I'm shooting for. So when it comes to roux, usually, it's equal parts butter and flour. I like to use a little bit more flour to make it more pasty. So as this starts to melt, as you can see, I'm just gonna go ahead and put some flour in. Now I'm looking for paste. So as this comes together, and I'm using like real butter, so it has that nice yellow. And this is a little soft. What do I mean by soft? It looks a little liquidy right here, yeah? Liquidy right there. So I want to go ahead and put a little bit more flour to make it look like a more Play-Doh-y.
If you take that too far, can you just add more liquid? Or?
Yeah, if it looks too thick, it looks dry, just add a little bit more fat. So this is what I'm shooting for. It's kind of pasty, right there. If you want to add more, you can add more. Now what's the thickening power of roux? For every tablespoon of roux, it's like 8 ounces of liquid. So this right here is about, a little over 2. So this is kind of what I'm looking for. If you happen to make more, don't freak out. We can always take some out. Like I'm gonna take some out just in case. I can save it. As I'm starting to cook down my milk, if I see that it's not thick enough, boom, add more roux. So this looks okay. So now I'm gonna do my milk. Now this is where gravies and people, freak out. So I'm not gonna add all my milk. I'm just gonna add enough. And as the milk starts to get hot and we start to mix in this roux, it's gonna get thick really quick. And I'm just slowly bringing it together. Could I put all the milk in? Totally. But I'd be whisking for days. And that's what makes people freak out when it comes to making gravies and they say it's clumpy and whatever. Just take your time when you do the mixing. So I'm gonna go ahead and slowly add my milk. And then once it gets homogeneous, I'll start adding some cheese. Now if you want to use a whisk, you totally can. Just go ahead and start whisking. Might go a little bit faster for you. And then once it starts to break down, we can go back to the heat tempered spatula. All right, my roux's coming together. It's been about 5 minutes. You can see it's relatively thick, right? Sometimes when we do soups or roux, you want to put some roux on top, and it's how quickly it dissipates into the sauce. If it stays on top, it's too thick. If it goes down too fast, it's too thin, stuff like that. So I want to add some cream, and we won't know how the strength of the thickening is until it gets to boil. So we're at the boil, as you can see. So this is how thick it is. So that's the biggest mistake I see people make when they do roux. They never get it to the boil, so they don't know how strong it is. So I'm gonna add my cream. Do you have to add cream? No. But this is calories before New Year's Eve. So I really want to hit it to make it really, really smooth, great mouthfeel. Then I'm gonna add the cheese. Now when it comes to roux, you really want to cook this 15-20 minutes to try and get that flour taste out. And what does it taste like? Well, taste it now. It'll taste kind of floury. So in about 15-20 it won't be as bad. And then we'll add this truffle cheese right here and some TALEGGIO, which is really nice. So I'll let this cook another 10-15 minutes and I'll add my cheese. All right, our roux is really nice. Good thickness, nice shine, looks good. Now for the flavor. You can add any cheese you want. I'm adding TALEGGIO. I like that, funkiness. I like the body that it gives. One of the dudes asked me, am I gonna, shred that? This is really soft cheese. I don't really need to bother. It's gonna melt. Also, by the time it takes to melt, this roux will be totally finished. And then once it goes down, I'm gonna add some of this truffle cheese. We can go ahead and mix the lobster in. This is gonna be delicious and really, really good. All right, cool. Now I'm gonna add a little bit of this truffle cheese. I like it, has nice flavor. What's not to like? Truffle, lobster, mac, easy. All right, so what happens if this is too thick? More milk, man. Not rocket science. So after I mix this in, if I see it's too sticky icky, just add a little bit more milk.
What is the thickness you're going for?
I want it to be like, I mean, that's mac and cheese, right? When you think of mac and cheese, that's pretty macky. So I don't want to make it too thin, but I want to have a little bit of sauce consistency, so I'm going to add just a little bit of milk, not a lot. I still want that stringiness. I mean, when you have mac and cheese and it pulls like that, I mean, this is how I kind of like it. I'm going to go ahead and shut off my heat. I'm going to add my lobster. Now this lobster is raw. Between it going into this, you know, deal right here and in the oven for like 15 minutes, it's going to get cooked. But because of the TALEGGIO and the truffle cheese, I just want to check my salt consistency. Really good.
There's already salt and cheese, right?
Yeah, there's salt in the cheese. I just want to hit it with some pepper. All the French are going nuts because I'm adding black pepper to a white sauce. And then with like the lobster. So just close your eyes. It's gonna taste good. And that's it. Add my lobster. Our sauce is ready to go. Nice and shiny. Good consistency. Now pasta. Here's the deal with pasta. We don't have to cook it all the way. I know it's gonna go in the oven for like 15 minutes just to caramelize the top. So I undercook my pasta, even before al dente. Let's say, for instance, we were gonna cook this for 45 minutes. I'd throw my pasta in for a minute or two, take it out. It would totally be hard, but because we have sauce, it's gonna cook in the sauce, and your pasta, once it's done, is still gonna be al dente. So that's just a chef tip of the day. So I have my pasta in. I'm gonna pour my sauce over. You're probably asking how come I didn't mix it in the pan. Totally valid point. Since I'm doing a video, I don't want to make a mess. So this just makes it easier to mix. So it's right in the vessel that I'm going to put it in. I'm totally mixing it now. Once it goes in the oven, it hits that heat. It's going to bubble up, cook some more, and this is just going to be fantastic. And this is what I'm talking about sauce and oil slick. It's white. It's going to stay white. It's going to be saucy. So that's the difference when you do that roux. Just makes it much better for a final product. So I'm gonna hit it with leftover cheese. Looks like it's enough. And then because I like textures, I like using some breadcrumbs right on top to give us some more crunch. I like the breadcrumbs, but final product, it's, you know, what it looks like. So what I like to do is hit it with a little bit of oil. So there's oil on the breadcrumbs, and it doesn't look dry. It looks crunchy. So this is ready to go into a 450-degree oven. The reason why it's so high is I just want caramelization. I don't need to cook this anymore because the sauce is totally done and the pasta is on the peak of perfect. So 450 to get that caramelization. Now this is what 15 minutes in the oven does. Nice caramelization, nice and hard, and then the crispy breadcrumbs, and you can see where those bubbles of white delicious sauce are. And then just to go in, I mean, that's that ooey gooey I'm talking about. And there is no oil slick. Totally saucy, totally nice. This is like radioactive hot. And you know, I'm gonna scar myself, but you know. Wow. Really good mac. Lobster's delicious. Pasta's great. And that TALEGGIO and truffle cheese. This is really good. What makes this dish is the roux and that sauce, and then the truffle, lobster, really good cheese. I mean, this is just a thing of beauty. And what I like about it is all that crunchiness. So when you go ahead and piece it off, Everybody gets some crunch and some really luscious sauce. This is definitely something you should have before that New Year's resolution. This is high quality fat right here and deliciousness. Something I would definitely try.